All right, all right. We are back at the Grit Won't Quit podcast studio in our famous Belmont, New Jersey location. I love Belmont, New Jersey, especially this time of year. We have a very special guest on. We have Alesha. How are you today?
Oh, I'm super excited to be here.
And we have a dog.
That's my dog, Dupree.
We got Dupree, who you might see throughout the episode.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. You and I know each other for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
We had a very short stint of living a couple doors down from each other.
Mm-hmm.
And you're part of you've helped with the Wingman Foundation. You've also with Seeds of Service. So we have a lot of similarities, common people in the process.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of like who you know rather than what you know.
Yep.
I have found that significant more recently in my life.
And you know my wife Cindy.
I do. Cindy's fantastic.
So and again, thank you for helping with the Wingman Foundation over the time you've known Cindy. So your story is a little different. Like, most of the time we're talking to business owners about grit and about, overcoming obstacles and overcoming things. But, knowing your story, I thought, Cindy was the one who first thought about that this would be a great episode for you to come on to. But knowing what I know, I think that you've overcome your fair share of grit and dealt with a lot of, obstacles and, you've overcome a lot of things along the way.
Yeah.
So let's kind of dive right into it.
Okay. Where should we start? At the end?
Start at the end and kind of bring
Work
it back.
our way back?
Yeah.
Okay. So I did run into Cindy. The first week I started working at Seeds of Service.
Seeds of Service. Shout out to Christy. We've we do a lot of donations with Seeds of Service, and we do the Thanksgiving every year. Christy was the first one who told me, when you do the Thanksgiving donations, it'd be cool to get a dessert. Everybody wants a dessert. And you know what? For years I've been doing, this is my 10th year of doing Thanksgiving charity donations and giving out food to families. And for the first probably 7 years, I never thought about the dessert. I got the corn, I got the
stuffing,
I got the stuffing, I got the
gravy,
cranberry,
yes.
I got the turkey, but I never thought about a dessert. And Chelsea, our chief operating officer, and I were at Christie's dropping off a last-minute run, and Christy said something about the dessert, and I turned to Chelsea, I go, let's go. We're going to ShopRite right now, and we bought, $250 worth of desserts, and we brought them back. I was like, I thought about it, and I was like, I think that's really important. And so now in our package for our Thanksgiving, we included dessert. So Christy gets total credit for that.
She's fantastic. What a great mentor she's been. And she comes up with these amazing ideas just on the fly. Like, I love watching her and seeing how her mind works. We're very similar in that way. I think that's been something I've really been fortunate with the female mentors I've had in my jobs. And there's a lot to admire there. It's been really exciting working with her and having her guide me. And
she just gets her hands dirty. I was there one day and she was like, oh, a truck just pulled up. Now, I'm talking to her about donations or something, and she's pulling things off the truck.
Yeah.
And I'm like walking with her to kind of keep up.
She's right in there with us. I mean, she does oversee everything, but she works alongside us, and I really admire that too. And the first day I showed up, I had my yoga pants on, tank top, and my hair's back in a ponytail. I'm certainly not wearing any jewelry because I was ready for whatever was going to be happening there. And she's like, I really like that you are dressed like this. I was like, yeah, I'm not trying to come in super fancy or having any other ideas. Then I just want to get in here with you and see what's going to happen. And it has transitioned. I've only been there since mid-July, and it's been so exciting. I love it.
That's awesome.
I love it.
And how did you kind of meet up with Christy?
So I have a friend who actually oversees the peer recovery program that they have. So they have something called EEP, and it's with Ocean County. It basically is almost like a emergency employment, if you want to think about it like that. I was working at a treatment center as a counselor intern and had begun to burn out. And it had been coming on for probably about a year and a half. And I was like, this isn't going to work for me. So what do I do? Well, let me reach out to the people that I know. Kevin Murphy is the gentleman over there that kind of oversees that. And I said, Kevin, do you have anything available? And he said, we're always bringing in people. Let's get you signed up for this. I think Christy's really going to appreciate what you might have to offer to us. And I was like, I'm just willing to do whatever. Being of service is really important to me, and I want that to always be involved in my career as best as I can, and that's definitely what I get to do there.
So now, 7 years ago, you're going to have an anniversary next month.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of 7 years of what?
So I am in recovery, so I'll have 7 years of sobriety.
That's quite a
Yeah.
accomplishment.
Yeah, it's been the most rewarding thing that's ever happened for me.
So let's just think about this: 365 days in a year, 7 years.
Yeah.
So that's over 2,500 days without touching
Any substance. I am a recovering alcoholic. That's what I call myself. And I do work a program of recovery that's, peer-based. And I haven't accomplished anything like this in my life. It's given me a second life, actually. It's given me the opportunity to do things I never thought I'd do, like sit down and have a podcast. I know. It just, every road has led to something very positive and changes in my life along the way of those 7 years.
So, again, without going, as much as you want to talk about it, and if there's ever the point we get to it that you don't want to talk about, just say next, we'll keep going. But so 7 years ago, you just decided, I'm done.
Yes, it was 20 years of substance use, and it was an incredibly unhealthy relationship, and I was utilizing it to cope with every single thing in my life. I love that we have guidance counselors in school that are also therapists, for example, or have social work. But those things, I grew up in the 80s. That wasn't something that was offered. And I didn't understand what healthy coping was. And so I found something that worked for me as a teenager, and I stuck with it. But, doing that for 20 years, there just comes a point in time where, mentally, emotionally, and physically, you're just tired. You can't do it anymore. And I also had a really great friend in my life who is also in the program of recovery and was a wonderful example to me to say there is a better way. And
how much further along in the program was this friend of yours before you joined the program?
She's about 3 years ahead of me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for 3 years, you saw this friend in this new way.
Yes, and it's really exciting. I guess we always think that we say that it's a God-given or divine. Our lives parallel like this. We're like two fish swimming right next to each other. And so whenever I'm experiencing something and we haven't talked in maybe a couple months, I'll call her. She's going through the exact same thing. And so she was able to, be a representation of what it could be, but also to, I feel like we're partners, not in crime anymore. A little bit
different than going down to jail.
Exactly. And so that she gets to be a rock for me, I get to be a rock for her. But yeah, I've known her since 4th grade. I truly believe that she was put in my life so that she could get me to a place of sobriety in my life. I really do truly believe that.
That's awesome. Now, did you grow up down on the shore?
I did not. I'm originally from Virginia, and I moved up to New Jersey probably about a year before Sandy.
So that's the phone number that I see on Dupree.
Yes,
okay.
757 number.
You grew up in Virginia, and then what brought you to the Jersey Shore?
I know, it's so great up here. I could never have imagined it. So I grew up in Virginia Beach, Norfolk, Virginia area, and I met my ex-spouse down there. And he was working on a schooner build. He's a boat builder. And then we eventually worked our way up here, moved up here to the shore. His family has a couple homes in New Jersey, and that's how I ended up at the shore, which is now home.
Awesome, and now there's no going back to Virginia.
You know what? Not really. My grandfather who had passed away was kind of like the momentum for me to go there, and I miss some of my friends, but this really, truly is where I feel at home, which I never, 10, 15 years ago, if you'd asked me this is where I'd still be, I'd be like, no way, but I love it here.
What's funny is I'm from New York originally, and I was like, I remember, we're gonna move to Jersey? What are you talking about? And
say less.
I remember coming to Jersey. I knew nobody. Anywhere. And now I couldn't even think about going back to Long Island, New York. I love Long Island. It will always be home. But now Jersey, Monmouth County is where I live and work and operate, and that's home now.
And it feels good, right?
It feels good. It feels great. Even my parents were in a couple weekends ago, and my mom's like, everybody, like 15 years ago. I think back to 15 years ago when I first got here, and I was like, what do I do? Where do I go? I didn't for the life of me, I couldn't figure out how to get to Brick Boulevard. That just confused the hell out of me.
Jug handles. I was like, what is wrong with this place? I don't understand why people drive like this. this. And now when I go out of state, I'm like, how long do I have to sit at this left turn signal light? I'm sitting at this left turn light for forever. Why don't they have jug handles
Or if
here?
you're on 34 in Wall Township at the Circle. And you're like, this guy's an out of town. This is Benny. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what he's doing. Why is he going into the Circle right now? You're laying on the horn. Now they don't follow the process. You're pissed off about it. So kind of going back to your friend, and your friend's from Virginia,
she
still lives in Virginia.
She still is in Virginia.
She's still there.
Yeah.
So you see her operating and doing things differently than, and you're starting to like this, right? You're starting to be like, wow, this is kind of.
Yeah.
So she'd come up and you didn't drink because she wasn't drinking, right?
Yeah, I chose when she would come and visit, I would take we'd go out for dinner and I would choose not to drink. And the idea for me was thinking that, I'm going to support her because everybody else is drinking here, when actually it was me being curious about, is this something that I can do? And it turned out that I could have a dinner without drinking. And I know for people that don't have a substance use disorder, I know they're like, well, yeah, of course you can do that. But for people like me, it's really challenging to do that.
You know what's crazy? 25 years ago, when I was a 20-something, early 20s, I was a big drinker. I was a binge drinker. I was a weekend warrior drinker. I never let drinking get involved in my work. But I was like Friday happy hour. I was a staple.
Yeah.
So until Sunday morning, I would party, drink. Lived on Long Island. Go to the Hamptons in the summer. I would drink excessively, and as time got a little bit old, you get a little bit older, you kind of wean it back. But at times I was like, and I remember my mom going, "You don't have to drink to have a good time," and laugh at her. And now I personally, for the most part, I don't drink really anymore. Occasionally I have and now a drink for me is like a Surfside is like a big deal. Like those iced tea drinks. Like we used to get like cases of Bud Lights and Miller Lights and just drink them back, and I couldn't even think to do that anymore, nor do I have any desire to. Now, I'm not part of the program, but I just did it on my own. I just started to think about on Sundays, I don't want to wake up feeling like crap. On Mondays, I don't want to feel tired. And then I went into my own business, and I was like, I can't be drinking if I'm trying to run a business. That kind of is what helped me. And I was like, I can't be so tired. I can't be out of it. I can't. Clients calling me, I can't be drunk. So that kind of helped me out of the process. But I understand, again, you're from into high school to college, it's like a party, and
it is. It's so prevalent too.
And a lot of people then they get married or take on a job where then they start to wean it back, or they have children and that weans it back. But I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
At first, when I and even some people. I have some people that look at me and like, "Oh, you're not gonna have a drink tonight?" And I'm like, "Nah, I don't need. I'm good with Diet Coke. I'm fine." And for me, it wasn't about having one. If I'm gonna have one, I want to have 7. So I totally understand and rationalize with where you're at, and I think it's awesome though, and it's great that you could go out and start to realize you don't need the drink.
Yeah, I wasn't ever present. I really think that's I too would often binge drink on the weekends, but then it would turn into something that became every day at the very end. It was every day, but I'm missing out on life. I was constantly missing out on life, and I didn't have an understanding or a comprehension that there actually is life without alcohol, but it's around us everywhere, especially here at the shore, especially during the summer. There's something new popping up. It's another brewery. Okay. And I certainly don't judge anybody that can have some drinks and they're okay with it, but it is something that's constant. And so I get to relearn how to participate in life. In a way that I never did before.
I do still like a good game of beer pong. I don't want to say that I don't like that, because I do, and I have told a couple of the team members at Wingman that I will play in a beer pong tournament. So that day I will excuse myself, and by the next day I'm back to on the plan. But so now, how you said how you realize that life happens without alcohol. At the beginning, in the first year or the first 3 months, what was that like?
It was so challenging, because here I am surrounded by it and not not having the support necessarily that I didn't know that I needed. So you start physically feeling better. I'm waking up in the morning, the birds are chirping. Isn't that lovely? Whereas before...
You got the smile on your face to prove it.
I did, and I'm walking Dupree in the morning, and that in and of itself is a gift. Like, this dog saved my life. I got him towards the end of when I was drinking, and really, I needed him at that time to teach me patience, and also to, like, hey, there's more than just this. And so now I'm walking in the morning and the sun's shining and everything feels great, but I still have all these yucky emotions, and I don't really have anybody around me that understands what I'm going through. And so I reached out to that friend of mine, and she stayed in touch with me, and then she kind of gave me some helpful suggestions and was like, why don't you check this out? There'll be people there that know how you feel and can help you on your end. We're states away. If I'd lived down there, I'm sure that I maybe would have come to it sooner. And it has made all the difference in the world for me.
And now, like, you told me off camera, but like you listen to some podcasts and do some learning through other other women who've overcome this. Yeah.
I started reading books about recovery, women in recovery, and sobriety, and listening to some podcasts too. I think it was called Unpickled or something. It's not on anymore, but it was just, and she would interview other women as well that were in recovery. And so that really started, creating an interest of, okay, what are some different techniques that I can use, because I'm not using the thing that's always worked, And then I realized that there's just as many sober people as there are people that choose not to be sober. And that was wild to me. I thought everybody lived like I did, and that's not necessarily the case. I'm not so unique, actually.
No, definitely not.
Turns out I'm not.
And again, everybody's got to do what's best for them or for what they want to do. We get one turn on this in this world, so you got to use it to your advantage and do the things that are important to you, because I think it's gonna be before you know it's too late.
It is, and it's led to the craziest of things. So, I did food and beverage for a really long time. I was with a catering company for 13 years down in Virginia, and actually was doing logistics for them remotely when I moved to New Jersey. Before that, I worked at a Subway for 7 years. I was a supervisor. So literally, that's all I knew. And I didn't go to college because I was too scared of failure, right? And so that was a common theme within my life. So now it's sobriety, and I don't have room for fear. It's always there, but it's how do I work through it? And then I was like, okay, well, how can I be of service and work on wellness with other people, because that's what's happening in my life, and I'm passionate about it. So then I started working at Weight Watchers, which, I was a member of for like 10 or 15 years. Michelle Smith was my coach, and, I always return. It's always there for me. I feel as if food's always been my first addiction. So there's a constant struggle with that, but I literally needed to survive. So again, it's about creating a better relationship with that too. So first things first. And so that was great, but then COVID happened, and I got laid off, and it felt devastating for me at the time, but also everybody else was in a predicament too. It wasn't just me. And so talk about feeling lonely. But then through somebody else that I knew, I said, do you know anybody in any of these treatment centers? Maybe I can be of service there, because it's healthcare. They're open, because addiction never goes away. And it got me a foot in the door. So I was a tech working at a treatment center, outpatient. And then I moved up to intake coordinator, and then decided to become a counselor intern. So here's this trajectory that's just presenting itself. It feels like the universe is like, hey, sister, go this way. This is what's going to work. So I have this idea. I go to Ocean County College, the community college down there. I've got a great advisor. Shout out to Patty Giannotti. She's a PhD, and she does
shout out to Patty.
She does psychology there, and I think she might be retired. But so I'm taking all of this coursework to be a certified alcohol and drug counselor, and it's great. And then I moved to another treatment center, and I'm counseling there, and I really loved it. But then I start recognizing that I'm burning out, and I can't keep up with I couldn't keep up with it, and I can't sacrifice that.
So you can't go back against yourself now.
Like, no, I can't.
Because that would be the worst thing that would happen.
Well, we preach things, but am I living it? I'm telling people, like, hey, these are some avenues that you can choose, and there's all different ways of recovering, and give that a try. And but I am not living it, to the best of my abilities, and I recognize that I'm suffering, and I was very grateful to have people in my life say to me, this isn't working for you. I'll hang on till that last drop of juice is in the lemon, and I don't need to wait that long, really.
Sure.
And so I ended up calling Kevin Murphy, and I was like, hey, do you have anything available? And that's when I came to Seeds of Service. And I'm telling you, I could never have predicted how much I really love it there. The cool thing is everybody's there because they want to be.
Yes.
Nobody's obligated to be there. You know, Seeds of Service is like the largest food pantry in Ocean County. We serve food to family, like 1,500 families a month. That is crazy.
It's crazy that right in your own backyard that there's the need for that much support. You know, I've always have said this, like, you know, I work in Manasquan when I'm not in Belmar. I work, you know, where my office is in Manasquan, and I've said to people before, like 10 miles away from what we consider the Jersey Shore, beautiful Manasquan, New Jersey, and there's people that, you know, have this need and this food insecurity. And again, I think that's why, you know, we got so big involved with with our foundation. And you know, when you have these conversations with Cindy, and she, you know, Cindy's the most equal person that ever created. Everybody, in her mind, everybody is equal. So there's no, you know, anything that's going on in the world, she thinks about equality. And so, like, when I said, like, well, maybe we should really start to think about this, she was like, yeah, this is great, because, you know, you could take and make an impact in your own community.
Yeah, it's really substantial. So when running into her, and you know what, she's a beautiful soul, you know. You both are, actually. You both
she's
are.
A better person than me.
You know. You know, she really is. She's genuinely so kind, and I love that you guys do this, you know, through what is your profession. You know, you're taking something that is part of your life, you're making it a passion, and then using it for good. You're using your powers for good.
You know what's crazy is, again, go back 15 years ago, I didn't know anybody in this area, and I try to take the network we have now and utilize it. So again, we have a podcast network. We ask people to make donations from being on the podcast, and that money goes right to Cindy. And I tell her every week, oh, so and so, you know, you got this, and then like there's a guy. Shout out to Tom Jarrah from the Wonder Washers, great guy, was on the podcast 2 years ago. He was probably within the first 10 podcasts we ever had. And I told him about that. We do this toy drive, and he goes, I got to get involved in this. He goes, I'm big into the off-road Jeep community. So he says to me, we go, he's on the podcast, we go to grab lunch at 10th Ave Burrito, which if you'd like afterwards, I'll be happy to treat you to lunch over there. And we're talking, and we're there, and he's like, we got to get my off-road Jeep community. He says, you want to go down to Barnegat next week? I go,
that's so cool.
I go, sure. Not knowing what I'm in for, I bring two of our our barrels down, and I set them up. We're in the Barnegat Wawa, 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. I say to Cindy that morning, I'm going down to meet this guy, Tom Jarrah. I'd really just met him not too long. He was on the podcast. I met him maybe a month before that. I said, I don't really know what it's involved. I said, do you want to go down? She goes, well, I don't know. She goes, nah, I'll just skip. It was a good thing she didn't go down, because she wouldn't have been able to come home. There was so much toys, so many toys and food that were collected. The barrels were full. People were just dumping stuff in my back seat, my front seat. One of the toys kept for 40 minutes from Barnegat back to Manasquan going off and making sounds that I couldn't figure out where the toy was. And you know what's crazy is, so now it's Sunday at like lunchtime, midday, and Mike Greco, shout out to Mikey from our limo team, is passing by and sees my car with the doors open, and as I'm bringing stuff in, he happened to be like having breakfast with his wife, and now they're carrying toys in for the next half hour.
You can't make it up, right?
But I was like, he's like, where did you get these toys? I said, I went down and I tell him about Tom Jarrah and this off-road community. 75 Jeeps were gonna do like this off-road in the Pine Barrens, and they were gonna just do this. And he asked everybody to bring one toy, but these guys didn't bring one toy. They brought 3 toys, 5 toys, cans of food. It was incredible. So then Tom says to me recently, why don't we do that again? I said, sure. So November 15th, we're gonna be at Mill Spray in Lakewood. They've donated their grounds, and Tom has been, getting all these vendors and they're making a small monetary donation to the foundation. They can set up a table, they can set up a booth, they could give out promotional. Tom and I have been doing these shout out videos to them to give them exposure on social media, and it's so great. And we're asking the participants. So you have all these vendors now who are in, and now we're going to have participants coming to see these vendors and to do an off-road Jeep show. And so we'll have bins out there. So just because he heard about it on the podcast, was like, I want to be part of this. But like, I love the fact of people that maybe wouldn't have done something now can team up with the Wingman Foundation and just get it done.
Yeah.
It's so cool. So like, again, Cindy meets you because Seeds of Service is getting a donation from our normal, and says, again.
That was my first week there too. It was the craziest thing.
It all coordinates. And, Vince from Seeds of Service is a great guy. We know him through an old employee of Wingman, shout out to Pat, his friend Matt, shout out to Matt, as Vince is their uncle, and Vince and Mike Colucci from Mac Builders are stepbrothers, and Mac is a client of Wingman. So it's a small world, and especially in this Jersey Shore world, like everybody kind of knows everybody. So like when you need help, Mike Colucci's there for you. When you need help, Vince calls if he needs something. So it all works. It all comes back together.
It really does, and you find that when you are into something like being of service or helping other people, that the people you start being around are in the same thing. And I don't know, you feel as if you're the connector. You're the connector to different people to get to other people.
And then, even like the Chamber of Commerce called me this morning. I have a 2:30 meeting. She goes, I want to figure out a way to do a donation for your toys. Like, she's got 100 probably things on her desk right now, but knowing that we're coming into toy season, knowing that we're going to need help, she's like, can we have a conference call today? Sure, absolutely. I'm never going to say no to a conference call about you helping me collect toys. You can always have my time for that. But I love the fact that people that have gotten involved with it, and they now take pride in it. Shout out to Helmy next door to me in Manasquan from Guaranteed Service. I text him and I say, hey Helmy, we're getting ready to do the Thanksgiving job. Let me know when you need the check. That's what that's the response I get back. Like, so like, those are the kind of people that are there. They have your back. So, in the community, like, everybody's helping each other. And again, it's going to make a better community for 10, 15 years down the road from now.
Absolutely. And being open to whatever comes your way. Yep. Right? It is all about being open to whatever presents in your path.
And figure out how to work together. Like, I think that's the biggest thing. Like, if all of us do a small little thing, it's not as impactful as if we all get together and kind of join forces to get to that bigger goal, I think, and that's how it all kind of happens.
Yeah. So for Wingman Foundation, have you started coordinating with Seeds of Service and what you're doing together this fall? Are you doing anything together this fall?
Usually we normally, for the last, as long as, again, Seeds of Service was introduced to me by Paul Barlow years ago, and he said they could use some help. So every year we provide food for Thanksgiving for Seeds of Service, and every year we provide toys for the holiday season for Seeds of Service. So I would assume everything would be the same this year.
Okay.
So, but now that we have you and Cindy as buddies, you guys can coordinate and make sure you get, I know that there was one year when Christy was down to the wire and we were scrambling like the night before to help get everything done. But, the good thing is this year, hopefully, it'll be, more coordinated and easier and get it done faster. We've already started taking donations for Thanksgiving. We've raised 40% of our total goal. So we're recording this in end of September. It'll go out in the middle of October. But so as of the end of September, we've already raised about 40% of what we'll need for Thanksgiving. So we're in really great shape. I have some great people that come to the table every year for me. So we're in very good shape. So hopefully by end of October we're ready for Thanksgiving.
That's outstanding.
And again, the earlier you get ready for Thanksgiving, the earlier you get ready for the holidays, because the holidays come very fast.
Right after. It's true.
Cindy ran a great Christmas in July this year, so she probably has about 800, 900 toys already collected for the holiday season. So I think we'll be in good shape there, and we just keep hustling.
How many businesses do you work with that actually have the barrels within their locations?
About 30 businesses have the barrels in their location, but then people will come to the table for a one-off, and they'll say, hey, we're doing this, can we get a barrel for this? Or we're doing a one-day event, can we just do it there? And then when we get to the holidays, we get about 90 barrels out, because we, the Gap, for example, in Seagirt, shout out to Brielle. She is always there for me, but we don't have bins there year round. But so there, she's not in the 30, but she takes a bin for Thanksgiving, then she takes a bin for the holidays. So like we have 90 bins across out then during that time. Jersey Mike's has been a big supporter of ours from, for the last probably 4 or 5 years. So they have bins in a lot of their Ocean and Monmouth County stores. So, we have about 100 bins in collection. About 90 of them or so go out around the holidays, and then we have about 30 that are year-round bins.
So if somebody wanted to, do you accept volunteers with the foundation?
Absolutely.
Like, I would think that you would need to, considering how
yes.
prevalent you are. And
yes.
So if somebody wanted to get involved and volunteer, how would they do that?
All they would do is go to the Wingman Foundation, nj.org, and they could fill out a contact form. We'll get in touch with them, myself, Cindy, Chelsea, and then we can help, coordinate how they can help us. We always, we have those 30 bins that are out year round. Those are collecting food every month, and every month we're doing a donation to a nonprofit. So, collecting those bins, putting more bins out there. We work very closely with the Brick Morning Rotary, and we call ourselves the Shore Movement on that, so that, Brick Morning Rotary plus Wingman Foundation equals the Shore Movement. And the idea is that they, the Rotary gets involved, and they'll pick up and they'll drop off, so that, it makes everybody's life easier. And then also, because the Rotary's a bunch of great people, they'll also write a check to every organization that we give a food donation to for a minimum $500. So, it adds to, so you get 500 pounds of food and you get a $500 donation. It's a good day for a nonprofit. So we're always looking for more volunteers, for more help. And again, around the holidays, it gets very crazy. So, helping to sort toys, to helping to, being at our Wingman office in Manasquan to help give out toys and help a nonprofit come in and help them. Cindy makes it easy for them. She coordinates everything by age group and by boy and girl, so that like somebody that's looking for, a nonprofit that comes in looking for specific toys, it's very easy for them to shop.
I love that.
So yeah, we'll never turn help down.
I am raising my hand right now. I would love to be involved somehow this year.
And then you could bring Dupree too.
Oh my goodness, I know. He's so great. He doesn't even know he's an emotional support dog. He didn't do the training, but like he
passed.
He did pass. And thank you so much for this opportunity
this was so great.
to do something
I'm glad
new.
You came on.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you are now a podcaster.
Yeah.
And
Thanks.
If there's anybody you ever want to have on, or you think would be a good candidate, or just let me know, and we'll be happy to have them on too.
Can I do a quick shout out?
You can do a shout out to anybody.
All right, wonderful. So of course, Seeds of Service. We are on social media. It's wonderful, what they do there, and I'm excited to be a part of that and to do some volunteering with you. Right around the corner here on Belmar on Main Avenue is the Phoenix, and they are a nonprofit international, and they create a community, a sober community for people that want to be active and just to have a community somewhere that they can go, not just be active, but find other people like them. So
that's awesome.
The only prerequisite is 48 hours of sobriety. They offer yoga, sound healing. They do that once a month. They have events in the community. I think they work with JBJ Soul Kitchen sometimes too. They have Tai Chi, and they also have fun things like game night. But it's a place for people to meet other people that are trying to, just try out that lifestyle and see if that works for them.
If the Phoenix would be interested in being on the podcast, I'd love to have them.
All right. I'll talk to Kim Bradel. She's the volunteer coordinator there. She's amazing, and I will see if she's interested.
Sounds great. Well, thanks again for coming on. It was
Tom,
great to see you. Great to catch up. Dupree, good job. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tom.